I want to share a story about the strangest and most terrifying night of my life. It involves my mother and something I still can't fully explain. It's a story that's haunted me for years, and even now. It all started one quiet evening. I was at home, winding down after a long day at work. My apartment was a cozy little place in the city, not too far from where my mother lived. We were very close, my mom and I. She was my rock, always there for me, and we spoke on the phone nearly every day. That night, I had just settled on the couch with a cup of tea when my phone rang. It was my mom, sounding a bit frazzled. "Hey honey," she said, "I need you to come over. I'm feeling a bit off and could use some company." This wasn't entirely out of the ordinary. My mom sometimes got a bit lonely, and I was happy to be there for her. I told her I'd be over in about an hour. She thanked me, and we hung up. About 10 minutes later, as I was getting ready to leave, I heard a soft knock on my apartment door. Confused, I walked over and peeked through the peephole. To my shock, it was my mom. "Mom," I said, opening the door, "what are you doing here?" "I thought you were at home," she gave me a puzzled look. I was at home, but I thought I'd come over instead. I was feeling a bit better and didn't want to trouble you. I felt a wave of relief and confusion. My mom was standing right there in front of me, but something about the situation felt. "Come in," then I said, stepping aside. She walked in and sat down on the couch. We chatted for a bit, and she seemed perfectly normal, if a little subdued. Her movements, her expressions, it was like watching a slightly distorted version of my mother. About 20 minutes into our conversation, my phone rang again. I glanced at the screen and saw it was my mom calling. My heart skipped a beat. "Mom," I answered, my voice trembling. "Honey, where are you?" My mom's voice said on the other end, "I've been waiting for you. Are you coming over soon?" My blood ran cold. I looked at the woman sitting on my couch, who was now staring at me with an unreadable expression. "Mom," I said slowly, "where are you right now?" "I'm at home," she replied, sounding worried. "Are you okay? You sound strange." I turned to the woman on my couch, who hadn't moved, her eyes locked onto mine. "Who are you?" I whispered, my hand shaking. She smiled, but it was a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "I told you, honey. I'm your mother." I felt a wave of nausea and fear wash over me. I didn't know what to do. My mind raced with 1,000 thoughts, none of them making any sense. "I need to go," I said abruptly, standing up. "I need to get to my mom's house." The woman on the couch stood up too. "Don't be silly, darling. I'm right here. You don't need to go anywhere." I backed away, my heart pounding in my chest. "No, I need to go. Now." She took a step toward me, and for the first time I saw something in her eyes that terrified me: an emptiness, a coldness that didn't belong there. Without another word, I grabbed my keys and bolted out the door. I didn't look back. I raced down the stairs, my mind a whirlwind of fear and confusion. When I finally reached my car, I fumbled with the keys, my hands shaking uncontrollably. I drove to my mom's house as fast as I could. The entire time, I kept glancing in the rearview mirror, half expecting to see that unsettling version of my mother following me. When I finally pulled into her driveway, I practically leaped out of the car and ran to the front door. My mom opened it, looking concerned. "Honey, what's wrong? You look like you've seen a ghost." I burst into tears and hugged her tightly. "Mom, there's something in my apartment. It looks like you, but it's not you." She held me, trying to calm me down. We went inside, and I told her everything. She listened, her face growing more serious with every word. When I finished, she took a deep breath. "We need to go back," she said firmly. "We need to find out what's going on." Reluctantly, I agreed. We got back into the car and drove to my apartment. My mom held my hand the entire time, her presence a calming anchor in the storm of my fear. When we arrived, the apartment was dark and silent. My hands were shaking so badly that I struggled to unlock the door. My mom squeezed my shoulder, reassuring me. Finally, the door opened, and we stepped inside. The living room was empty. There was no sign of the woman who had been there earlier. Everything was exactly as I had left it. I checked every room, every closet, but there was nothing out of place. I sat down on the couch, exhausted and confused. My mom sat beside me, holding my hand. "Maybe you were just stressed," she suggested gently. "It's been a long week." I wanted to believe her, but deep down, I knew what I had seen. That woman, that thing, had been real, and it had looked exactly like my mother. As we sat there in the silence, my phone buzzed with a new message. I picked it up and saw an unknown number. The message was simple: "I'll be back." I showed it to my mom. She took the phone from me. "We'll figure this out," she said firmly. "You're not alone." To this day, I don't know what that thing was or why it came to my apartment, but every time I hear a knock at the door or my phone rings unexpectedly, wondering if it's come back, and I can't shake the feeling that, somewhere out there, it's still watching, still waiting for the right moment to return.